Hey folks, my name is Stephen Letness. I'm the Executive Director of ableartist Foundation. And today I have a guest. Her name is Christy Van House. She is the CEO of HITLIST Music. HITLIST Music is a licensing company, and I'll let her talk a little bit more about it. But before we begin, for our blind and low vision viewers for this video, I want to do a little audio description. So I am a white male with, Christy, what would you say, light brown hair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's kind of swept back a little bit. I'm wearing a button-down white shirt, and behind me is a couch and a chair and a couple of keyboards from my studio on a taupe wall, which is kind of like khaki, and it's a disgusting color, which I'm having painted over in 2 weeks. So, but Christy, if you would go ahead and do a little audio describing for me.
Sure. I'm Christy Van House. I'm a white female with shoulder length, blondish, brownish hair. I'm wearing a black shirt with a white collar, and I am sitting in my office, which has pine wood walls and lots of white furniture, and it's bright and sunny and happy, and I'm wearing a big smile.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you very much for doing that. The reason why we're putting this video out is we, AAF, are launching the 2021 contest for musicians and composers with disabilities. And whereas last year we had one category, which was a free-for-all. Anybody could send us anything they wanted, any kind of music. It didn't matter. We just wanted to hear your music from creative musicians and composers with disabilities all around the world. And we had submissions from 17 different countries. So it was quite a vast array of stuff to sift through and to listen to and enjoy. And last year, our winner, Kemal Gore, is from Turkey. And because he won the contest, he was onboarded to HITLIST Music. And so this year, when we were thinking about this contest, we still are going to have a free-for-all category. Anybody can send us any kind of music you like. But we wanted to be very intentional about advertising music. And since HITLIST Music does a lot of work with clients who are big advertisers, we thought it would be a great idea to speak with Christy so that if you choose to write music for the advertising category, and keep in mind, you can do both. You can write one free-for-all song and one advertising track, or you can do 2 advertising tracks, but then no free-for-all tracks. So you get a total of 2 tracks. So if you decide you would like to write some music for the advertising category, I've invited Christy on today to talk about what she looks for. What is she listening for? And to give you a better idea so you can hone in on how you can write the best advertising track to not only possibly win the grand prize, but be able to have your music listened to by Christy and HITLIST Music. So that, Christy, I suppose let's jump into it. Tell us a little bit about you and let people know a little bit about you and then about HITLIST Music.
So HITLIST Music, my name is Christy Van House. I've been in the, as I like to describe it, I've been doing handstands at the intersection of music and advertising for about 20 years. And essentially, I have a company that, with my loving husband, who is our lead creative director and composer, we have a company that composes original music for television commercials, films, media, all kinds of media. Most of our work is in the advertising space. We do original music. We also have a catalog, which is what we're talking about here. We also do all kinds of other music services, music supervision, clearances. I kind of do a lot of coaching to artists. There's all sorts of sort of places that we dip our toes into, where advertising and music meet. And we also just get asked to consult on a lot of things. Brands or clients or advertising agencies will call us and say, here's what we think we want to do. How do we musically make this happen? And so we'll do a lot of consulting and coaching in terms of how do they get this done?
Okay.
Because
Wow.
the music space is a bit of a Wild West right now. And so it takes sort of a meeting of logistics and business and obviously creativity to find the right thing, you know.
Well, you were so kind to listen to as much music from the creative minds of our entrants last year. And I know they appreciated it. We as a foundation appreciated it. I personally appreciated it. And I know Kemal and Jen, who you onboarded, Jen Masumba, appreciated too. And so talking about that creative spirit, so we're going to have a lot of people submitting music this year. And when they when they submit it, you know, we're going to be sending, you know, the top 10 and, you know, maybe some other tracks that stand out, but we're going to be sending the top 10 to you. And when you are listening to music that is specifically designed for advertising, can you go over the nuts and bolts
Sure.
of what you're listening for?
Sure. You know, first and foremost, I'm always looking for something interesting, something artful, something unique, something fun, something that really evokes something with a point of view. Some kind of an emotion that is with a point of view. I would say mostly positive leaning, sometimes thoughtful, often energetic, and unique sounds are always really fun. Musical devices that aren't heard often are always really fun. But ultimately, you know, there are some pretty simple things that I keep in mind when I'm generally listening, when myself and my husband are listening, for specifically in the ad space. Oftentimes you're looking to sort of create a story, right, that belongs with a visual media, so, or supports a visual media. But oftentimes you need a beginning, a middle, and an end in 30 seconds. Sometimes it's 60 seconds, sometimes it's 90 seconds. But I think sometimes it's a great exercise for a composer to try and fit an entire story's worth of music and movements into 30 seconds. It's not easy to do. You can always, you know, expand a piece. But knowing that you can get it all in a coherent, wonderful way in 30 seconds is huge. So structurally, that's always, it's always interesting to keep that in mind. That means, what does that mean? That means that your intro needs to be very short. 4 to 8 beats, 2 measures, you're good. We don't, we launch into the story right away. Sometimes you can even start with the chorus or a hook.
Okay.
You don't always need to set yourself up with an intro. Sometimes you can just launch right into it, get to the meat of it quickly. Some keywords that I would throw out there: upbeat, infectious, trendy, catchy, hooky, probably a little bit faster than you would think. I get a lot of music that's halftime. And half the time I would say, 170, 180 beats per minute is not far from normal in advertising.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So a lot of high energy, a lot of positive stuff, lot of, or at least at the very least, if it's a slower piece, some sort of underlying movement, right? Something that can impart pacing, some kind of instrument that can help things tick along. Even if it's a more thoughtful, meandering piece, sometimes just a little tick, 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 or some kind of a movement in the background can be really helpful.
So not spaces in between movements. You would like things to get right there into the next part?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you can do it, then absolutely. I would say also when it comes to structure, I would say, you know, write with a modular frame of mind, meaning when you write a song, think about it being in movements or in sections that you may be able to move around, so that an editor could maybe take your chorus and move it to the beginning of your track and still have the track work. Or an editor might, you know, take the intro and move it to the breakdown. They're all different. It doesn't, you know, music doesn't always work that way. It can't always work that way. But sometimes when you write with movements in mind, it kind of helps you think, oh, you know, this one track, this one composition could work for in 4 different scenarios if we moved the sections around. And so to sort of think with that in mind as you compose or as you write or as you produce could be really helpful, I think.
Okay, so modular.
Modular is always good. I would always say thoughtful or at the darkest. Most often brands, everybody wants positive, not necessarily happy, but positive. Likely major key. Not often are you going to hear minor key in advertising. And dynamic, lots of changes.
Well, you like that in advertising?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, really punchy, dynamic, lots of changes, absolutely.
So
You know,
so let's take that for example, like you like the dynamic part. So you're saying someone writes a 60-second bit with 3 parts. The dynamics, you know, one part could be you know, incredibly dynamic, a rich, high energy, but then if they're gonna slow it, well, not slow it down, but lower it to not negative, but thoughtful, not using a minor key, but having a different section, which can be softer, so long as there is still pacing of some kind underneath, building to a 3rd section. Or
you're a quick study, Stephen.
oh, thank you. I try to do my best to listen. I try to be a good host.
I like it. I like it. Yes.
These are so crucial when people are inside of their digital audio workstations and they're setting up their beats per minute. They're setting up if they want to do things in 3/4 or 4/4 or 8/8 or 12/8. Let me ask you a nerdy little question that I love. Now, I personally love 3/4. I love the waltzing kind of feel, or 6/8. And I like triplets too. Like I'm big into, you know, in my old days, I really liked the heavy metal stuff. And I always loved, you know, drums going. I love that stuff. So I love everything in 3/4. What about time signatures in advertising? Do you find that more stuff sells if it's in that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or in a standard 1, 2, 3, 4 basic pattern?
I hear them all over I hear things all over the place. I mean,
okay.
Ultimately, you know, it's a hard one because good art is good art, and a good song is a good song, and something that is easily knowable or infectious will pull you in no matter what. That said, There's no question that a 4/4 song is or 4/4 is every major biggest hit in the whole wide world. Every Michael Jackson song, 4/4. You know,
Sure.
so you know you're talking to a mainstream audience when you're dealing with advertising. So is that worth taking into consideration? Probably, but I also am not the creative director, and I am not a composer myself. So I don't know that I would be the expert on that. Um,
Well, that's all right. It's just it's a really esoteric question that
No, I think it's a great question, and it's certainly worth considering before you start an endeavor like this, for sure.
what about now, me coming from a film composing world and a traditional film composing world where I love themes. If you can hum it after hearing it once, it feels really good. And it's really hard to write an amazing theme that is really memorable. When you are reviewing music for advertising, do you prefer to hear something that is rich with a theme, or do you prefer less thematic, but more of an idea, but not such a blatant theme melody line? What do you
Oh,
prefer when looking for music for advertising?
oh, for sure, a hook, which is a theme. You know, which
Okay.
I think I'm using the term hook where you're using the term theme. And
Okay.
yes, anything you can grab onto, because here's the deal. If you pull that, you can always pull the hook off, right? If it's not the right thing for an advertiser, but the rest of the composition is, we can always pull that top line off. And use the same song in a different context. So I would always say yes. The more you have to work with, but yeah, I would say top lines and hooks and themes are very prevalent in advertising, for sure. I would say one more thing that I might impart to somebody that was interested in doing something like this: do your research. It's not hard to research what brands are doing. Oftentimes, picking a brand, going to their YouTube site, sampling, 8 of their, first pieces that they've got on uploaded, their most recent pieces that they've got uploaded. You really get a sense right away about, number one, what their messaging is like, what their general sound is, what is their general production sound, what kind of space are they often playing in. A lot of times they will be similar from piece to piece, and sometimes it's about just finding the right brand. Like, I think I'm gonna try, make myself an assignment to write some stuff for this brand. Go listen to some of the stuff they're doing. Research, go on iSpot, Google their commercials.
iSpot. Can you explain or spell that? Is it the
Sure.
letter I spot?
iSpot is a website that it's a monitoring service. They monitor commercials, and oftentimes if you Google a brand name and then then type commercial after it, iSpot will come up as one of the links, and they'll show you some of the commercials that have been airing recently from that
Okay.
brand.
And is their website like the letter ispot.com?
Yep.
Oh, easy. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. Research. Yes, everybody do your research, please.
Yeah, no, research is always great, and it can get you further than you would imagine. I mean, some people say, "Oh, I want to," they think of Nike as a cool brand, and they say, "I want to compose for Nike," and then they write this amazingly cool orchestral piece, And then they realized Nike's not doing orchestral music at all, or I mean, that was just an example and not necessarily true, but you see what I'm saying? Like sometimes you really, part of the most important part of my job is matchmaking between brands and music and trying to fit them together in the right way. So any research you can do on your own before you begin will help you cut to the chase, I think, much more quickly.
A couple, because I want to discuss two things next. The role that orchestration plays in advertising music you hear, because I imagine orchestration itself might only be 10% of the kind of music that's really out there, because everybody's trying to do something unique, and so they're using an Urdu or a zither, or synthesize an unusual guitar sound to step out. And then I would also have a question about the ending, whether it's a 30-second or 30-second or 90-second piece that people are going to send in. Let's tackle that one first. What kinds of endings do you like for the tracks you listen to?
So sometimes fades are fine, but ultimately I would end the track. It doesn't have to be like your typical cheesy advertising ding at the end. But oftentimes brands will ask for some kind of a button or some kind of an ending, even if it just stops abruptly, just so it feels like your short story has ended. Fades can work too. You can always create a fade if it's needed, but if the ending exists, then you have that option if you need it.
Okay, well, that's fair. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, you can fade anything out. I mean, that's what they did with tons of rock songs from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's just what they would do.
Sure.
Well, what about, because a lot of the people that might be submitting are comfortable within the orchestration toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are looking for advertising music, I mean, can you level with us? How much stuff orchestral advertising music sells compared to other types of music?
Oh, well, there's, advertising music is always reliant on a kind of socio-political environment of the world, right? Because they're talking to consumers. Brands are talking to consumers, you and me, right? And we're living in this world where in the last year we've been in COVID land, and things changed a lot musically in terms of what brands were doing. I was regularly getting calls for, we want songs about empowerment. We want songs about living life and getting out there and experiencing things and doing things and living your best life. And then COVID happened, and literally overnight, people started calling me saying, we want sad piano music. The trend changed, the mood in America or the world changed, and the trends all changed immediately, because anybody saying get out there and experience life was considered to be tone deaf. So really, suddenly, orchestration became much more poignant, much more needed in advertising, because they wanted to thank their heroes. Brands wanted heroic, thankful, gratitude, thoughtful, all these kinds of words that orchestration can impart, certainly much more than party music can, so it really depends sort of on the climate of the world. But it's even in a time where life is great for everybody, orchestral music has its place. And I would say, go listen to Andrew Bird, go look at IBM commercials, for example, they use a lot of orchestration. Go Google it, research it. Orchestral music and advertising. Boom, there you go. Tons of brands use it. Almost any black and white spot you ever see that's shot in filmic black and white, anything that wants to be dramatic, oftentimes will use, gorgeous orchestral applications. So again, just do the research. It's there, it's needed, it's wanted for sure.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And it's nice to hear your experiences over the past year and prior to that, of what was wanted, and then it turned on a dime, and then the music requests changed. And now who knows what's going to happen. Now things might be looking a little more hopeful, and so who knows what the companies might be asking for in 6 months.
Yeah.
It's wow. So
well, I can tell you, I'm hearing a lot of requests now that are, here comes the sun. A lot of really hopeful sort of plans for emergence and growth and seeds sprouting out of the ground and blooming. I think that is going to be a very prevalent theme in the next 6 months, 8 months, a year.
Aha, I'm really glad you slipped that in there, Christy. The inside track on what may be coming is, hopeful. Yeah. Okay. So in conclusion, I guess we've covered a lot, and I think a lot of people are going to have a ton to digest over the next few weeks as they're writing the music, couple months. So if I were a person stumbling upon Able Artist Foundation and this contest in 2021, and oh gosh, yes, I happen to have a disability, so I qualify, and I do this kind of music. Oh, they're doing an advertising thing. Oh, it looks to me like here's the stipulations. Here's the guidelines for having a better chance at not only winning the contest, but actually having my music reviewed by HITLIST Music. Would be 30, 60, 90 cuts with decent button endings in 3 modes, and like kind of like you want to tell a story section like the ancient Greeks, beginning, middle, and end. Short, super short, 4 to 8 beats of intro, if at all. Make them modular, so if you have a chorus in the middle, the chorus could be used at the beginning or the end, because some companies like to take the ends of things and put them at the beginning, and the beginnings of things and put them at the end. And you prefer better pacing, not the standard 120 BPM, but the energetic 170, 180, 190 BPM, which for me as a composer would be great, because that means the pacing means I have to get to my idea faster. You like themes, but then can easily be taken out. So you like layers. The adjectives you would use would be positive, yes, thoughtful, but not negative, no minor keys, upbeat, energetic, infectious, maybe a little quirky.
Quirky is great.
Quirky is great.
Quirky is fun and great, and anything that makes a person smile or feel good, without it being contrived, too happy, too cheesy, unless that's the artful approach, to be over the top happy,
Gotcha.
with the tongue in cheek approach.
Okay, that's fair. Am I missing other adjectives? I know you had a few more at the beginning.
I think just hooky, something immediately knowable, movement, pacing, upbeat, feel good is always great. I wouldn't go too, we always talk about being positive but don't go too sugary sweet, not sappy. I mean, be real, everybody's more real now than they have been in a long time. So, be positive, but be honest,
I like that. I really like that. That be your authentic self.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think authenticity, I've heard that word a lot, but authenticity really sells.
Yeah.
Lots of Instagram influencers and YouTubers have always talked about authenticity.
Well, not only that, but I mean, there's one thing you want to promote in an artist. It's their authentic self. You don't want them to be something that they're not. And so let's celebrate our differences, and let's celebrate all of the things that are unique about us, and the world will embrace them.
I like that. I love that, Christy. You're amazing. I am so thrilled that you came on today to get into the nitty gritty of what it's like to run a licensing company, and partnering with us for the second year in a row to support musicians and composers with disabilities all over the world. I'm so glad you're with us again. Everybody, get to writing, watch us a few times, do your research, go to ableartist.org. That's a single artist, no S on the end, ableartist.org, to learn more about the contest. And Christy, what is your website for HITLIST Music?
We can be found at hitlistmusic.com. That's HITLIST music.com. And our music catalog with the artists that we house can be found. There's a link on our website that can take you to our music catalog as well.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, research the music that HITLIST Music already has in their catalog. Maybe get another little inside track. I mean, we've given you so many inside tracks today. I think I hope you watching today, you will submit your music. If you happen to have a disability, we want to hear your music, whether it's for a free-for-all, any kind of music, or specifically advertising. And we want to hear it. So again, thank you so much, Christy, for today. And
thank you, Stephen.
Working with you in the months ahead.
And thank you, and good luck to you all. It's can't wait to hear your stuff.
Great. Thanks, Christy.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.